Confidence is not something you build by thinking. It's something you earn by acting when fear is loud. Most people wait to feel ready. They wait for approval. They wait for reassurance. That's why they stay invisible. Dangerous confidence is different. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't need validation. This audiobook will strip away the lies you were taught about confidence. You don't become confident first. You act, and confidence follows. If you're tired of doubting yourself, shrinking yourself, and hesitating when it matters most, this is where that version of you ends. Listen carefully. This will change how you move forever.
Chapter 1. Confidence is built through action, not thought. Confidence is not a feeling. That's the first lie you must delete. It is not something you wait for. It is not something you think your way into. It is not something you manifest by sitting still. Confidence is a byproduct, a result, an outcome. And it is produced by one thing only: action. Say it with me, because you will hear this again and again in this book. Action creates identity. That's the key. Most people get this backward. They believe confidence comes first. They think, once I feel confident, I'll act. That moment never comes. So they stay stuck, overthinking, analyzing, waiting. You have a choice. You can keep waiting to feel ready, or you can move while fear is present. One path leads to stagnation. The other leads to power. Let's be clear. Confidence does not eliminate fear. It overrides it. Fear doesn't disappear when you become confident. Fear just stops being in charge. And the only way that happens is through action. Not perfect action, not confident action, just action. Action creates identity. Every time you act despite discomfort, your brain records evidence. Evidence that you can handle pressure. Evidence that you survive uncertainty. Evidence that you are capable. That's how confidence is built. Not by affirmations, not by journaling about your potential, not by watching more videos, but by doing the thing. Most people are not lacking confidence. They are lacking proof. Proof comes from action. Think about it. The most confident people you know didn't wake up that way. They earned it. They spoke before they felt ready. They showed up before they felt qualified. They made decisions before certainty arrived. And over time, something changed. They stopped asking, "Can I?" They started knowing, "I already have." That's the difference. Action creates identity. Now let's address the comfortable lie that keeps people trapped. The lie sounds reasonable. It sounds intelligent. I just need more clarity. I need to work on my mindset first. I need to fix my confidence. No, that's avoidance dressed up as self-improvement. It's not about mindset, it's about movement. You don't need a better mindset to act. You need to act to get a better mindset. That's the key. Look at real life. The first time you did anything meaningful, were you confident? The first presentation, the first interview, the first hard conversation, the first risk. You were nervous, uncertain, probably scared. But you did it anyway. And afterward, you weren't perfect, but you were stronger. That strength didn't come from thinking, it came from doing. Action creates identity. Let me be blunt. Thinking feels productive. Action is productive. Thinking gives you comfort. Action gives you results. And results create confidence. You have a choice. You can keep rehearsing in your head, or you can step into reality and let experience train you. Confidence is not built in silence. It is built in friction. Every action you avoid teaches your brain one thing: I can't handle this. Every action you take teaches it something else: I survived. That's not motivation, that's conditioning. and conditioning beats motivation every time. Here's where most people sabotage themselves. They want to remove fear before acting. That's backwards. Fear is the signal. It's the indicator that growth is available. If something scares you, it matters. If it matters, avoiding it weakens you. Facing it strengthens you. That's the pattern. You don't need their permission, not from people, not from fear, not from your past. You move first. Action creates identity. Let's talk about discipline, because this is where confidence becomes permanent. Confidence built on emotion is fragile. Confidence built on discipline is stable. It's not about confidence, it's about discipline. Discipline to act when you don't feel like it. Discipline to show up when doubt is loud. Discipline to move before certainty arrives. That's the real confidence formula. Every disciplined action deposits trust into your system. You start trusting yourself. You start believing your own decisions. And when you trust yourself, confidence becomes automatic. You stop asking for reassurance. You stop seeking validation. You stop waiting for approval. Why? Because you've proven something to yourself. Action creates identity. Let me give you a real-world truth most people don't want to hear. The confident person is not the smartest, not the most talented, not the most prepared. They're the one who moved. They made the call. They applied. They spoke up. They tried and failed and adjusted. And over time, they became dangerous. Not loud, not arrogant, dangerous. Because they don't freeze, they don't overthink, they don't wait. They act. You have a choice right now. You can keep telling yourself stories about why you're not ready, or you can build readiness through action. Confidence is not found, it is built. Built in uncomfortable moments, built in repetition, built in decision. And the more you act, the quieter doubt becomes. Not because you silenced it, but because you outgrew it. That's the key. So here's your instruction for this chapter. Simple, non-negotiable. Identify one action you've been delaying because of fear. One conversation, one decision, one step. And do it. Not tomorrow, not when you feel confident, now. Because every delay reinforces weakness. Every action reinforces strength. Action creates identity. You don't become confident and then act. You act and confidence follows. Remember this as we move forward. This entire audiobook is built on this foundation. You mastered one truth here. Confidence is earned, not imagined. Now, if action builds confidence, what happens when you keep waiting to feel ready? That's what we confront next.
Chapter 2. Stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness is a lie. Not a misunderstanding, not a small mistake. A lie. It sounds responsible. It sounds smart. It sounds patient. But it's none of those things. Readiness is the story people tell themselves when they are afraid to take responsibility. That's the key. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they wait. They wait to feel confident. They wait to feel prepared. They wait to feel ready. That feeling never arrives. You have a choice. You can keep waiting for a feeling, or you can accept a truth that changes everything. You move first. The feeling follows. Say it again. You move first. The feeling follows. Every confident person you admire learned this the hard way. They didn't wake up ready. They acted while uncertain. They acted while nervous. They acted while afraid. And after they moved, something shifted. Not before, after. That's how it works. Waiting to feel ready is emotional permission seeking. You're asking fear for approval. Fear never approves. That's the trap. The mind wants guarantees. It wants safety. It wants certainty. Life doesn't offer that. So people wait. They delay. They rehearse. They convince themselves that preparation will replace courage. It won't. It's not about confidence, it's about discipline. Discipline to act without emotional permission. Discipline to move even when doubt is loud. Discipline to stop negotiating with discomfort. That's the key. Let's get specific. When you say, "I'm not ready," what you really mean is, "I'm uncomfortable with uncertainty." When you say, "I need more time," what you really mean is, "I'm afraid of making the wrong move." When you say, "I need to work on myself first," what you really mean is, "I don't want to be seen failing." Call it what it is. You're not waiting for readiness, you're avoiding exposure. And avoidance kills confidence. Action builds it. You don't need their permission, not from people, not from your emotions, not from fear. You move first. Think about every major shift in your life. Did you feel ready? The first job, the first leap, the first risk. You weren't ready. You adapted. That's the real skill. Adaptation. Confidence doesn't come from knowing what will happen. It comes from trusting that you'll handle whatever happens. And trust is built through experience. Experience only comes from action. That's the loop. You move first, the feeling follows. Let me say this clearly. Readiness is not a prerequisite for action. Action is the prerequisite for readiness. That's the key. The people who move early learn faster. The people who wait feel safe and stay stuck. Waiting feels responsible. It feels mature, but it's just fear wearing a professional outfit. Here's what readiness really is. It's hindsight. You only feel ready after you've done something multiple times. The first rep is always uncomfortable. The 10th rep feels manageable. The 100th rep feels automatic. So when you wait to feel ready, you are asking for the comfort that only repetition can provide, without doing the repetitions. It doesn't work. Action creates identity, and identity creates confidence. Let's dismantle another lie. People think confident individuals are decisive because they're confident. Wrong. They're confident because they're decisive. They trained themselves to act without perfect information. They stopped asking, "How will I feel?" and started asking, "What must be done?" That shift changes everything. You have a choice. You can continue letting emotions dictate behavior, or you can let discipline lead. It's not about fear, it's about discipline. Fear will always be there. Discipline determines who's in control. Most people are emotionally driven. They move when they feel good. They stop when they feel doubt. That's why their results are inconsistent. Confident people flip the order. They move first. They let emotions catch up. That's the key. Now let's get practical. From this moment on, you stop asking, "Do I feel ready?" That question is banned. Instead, you ask, "Is this necessary? Is this aligned with where I'm going? Is this uncomfortable but useful?" If the answer is yes, you act. No debate, no delay. You don't need their permission. This is how you retrain your nervous system. Every time you act without readiness, you teach your brain something powerful. I can function without certainty. That belief is confidence. Every time you wait for readiness, you reinforce the opposite. I need comfort to function. That belief is weakness. Choose wisely. You have a choice. Let's talk about responsibility, because this is where things get real. Waiting to feel ready shifts responsibility outward. It blames timing, it blames mood, it blames circumstances. Acting before readiness accepts full responsibility, and responsibility is empowering. The moment you accept that you are responsible for moving, regardless of how you feel, you take control. Control creates confidence. That's the key. This chapter is not telling you to be reckless. It's telling you to stop hiding. Stop hiding behind preparation. Stop hiding behind self-improvement. Stop hiding behind timing. At some point, preparation becomes procrastination, and procrastination destroys momentum. Momentum is built by movement. You move first, the feeling follows. Let me leave you with a non-negotiable rule. If you wait to feel ready, you will wait forever.
If you act while unready, you will become ready faster than everyone else. That's the trade. That's the advantage. That's how dangerously confident people are made. So here's your instruction for this chapter. Today, do one thing before you feel ready. One call, one decision, one step you've been postponing. No emotional debate, no mental rehearsal, just action. Because every time you move without permission, you take your power back. Action creates identity. And once you stop waiting for readiness, you unlock something even more dangerous. You stop needing approval. That's what we face next.
Chapter 3. The moment you seek approval, you lose power. Approval is expensive. Every time you ask for it, you pay with confidence. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. The moment you seek approval, you hand your power away. You trade certainty for comfort. You trade direction for consensus, and confidence disappears. Needing agreement is weakness. Say it again. Needing agreement is weakness. That's the key. Most people don't realize how often they do this. They don't call it approval seeking. They call it being polite. They call it being careful. They call it getting feedback. But underneath all of it is the same question. Is this okay? You have a choice. You can ask that question, or you can decide. Confident people decide. Insecure people ask. The more you need others to agree with you, the less you trust yourself. And the less you trust yourself, the smaller your actions become. That's how people shrink their lives without noticing. Let's be blunt. Approval seeking is emotional dependency. You're outsourcing your self-belief. You're saying, I'll move if you approve. I'll act if you validate. I'll commit if you agree. That's not confidence. That's submission. Needing agreement is weakness. Think about how this plays out in real life. You want to start something new, but you ask everyone first. You want to say no, but you soften it, explain it, justify it. You want to take a risk, but you wait for reassurance. And every time you do that, you reinforce a dangerous belief. I don't trust my own judgment. That belief compounds. It doesn't make you safer, it makes you hesitant. Confidence requires decisiveness. Decisiveness requires self-trust. Approval destroys both. That's the key. Let's expose the real reason people seek approval. It's not wisdom, it's not humility, it's fear of rejection. People want to be liked more than they want to be effective. They want harmony more than truth. They want comfort more than progress. So they ask, they explain, they wait, and slowly they lose authority over their own lives. You don't need their permission, not to start, not to stop, not to choose differently. You need clarity. And clarity does not come from crowds, it comes from commitment. Here's the brutal truth. If you need everyone to agree with you, you will never do anything meaningful. Meaningful action always creates friction. Always. Someone will disagree. Someone will disapprove. Someone will misunderstand. That's unavoidable. So, when you seek approval, what you're really saying is, I want the benefits of growth without the discomfort. That's not how reality works. Needing agreement is weakness. Strong people accept disapproval as the cost of self-direction. They don't enjoy it, they don't chase it, but they don't avoid it either. They act anyway. You have a choice. You can live in alignment with your values, or you can live in alignment with other people's expectations. You can't do both. Approval seeking keeps you average because average behavior is easy to approve. Standing out invites resistance. That's the price. Now, let's talk about validation addiction, because this is where confidence goes to die. Validation addiction is when your mood, energy, and self-worth depend on external response. Likes, praise, agreement, recognition. It feels harmless. It feels normal, but it's corrosive. When validation goes up, you feel good. When it disappears, you doubt yourself. That means you're not in control. Your confidence is rented, not owned. That's the key. Dangerously confident people don't need applause to proceed. They don't need consensus to continue. They know something others don't. Validation is a reward, not a requirement. Read that again. Validation is optional. Action is mandatory. It's not about confidence, it's about discipline. Discipline to act without praise. Discipline to stand firm without support. Discipline to hold a line even when no one claps. That discipline builds an unshakable core. Approval seeking builds anxiety. Let me give you a real example. Look at anyone who leads, not manages, leads. They make decisions that not everyone likes. They say no when it's unpopular. They move forward while others hesitate. If they waited for approval, nothing would happen. Leadership dies in committee. So does confidence. Every time you explain yourself unnecessarily, ask why. Every time you soften your truth, ask why. Every time you wait for agreement, ask why. The answer is always the same: fear of being disliked. But here's the irony. The more you seek approval, the less respect you get. People trust those who trust themselves. Certainty is attractive. Hesitation is not. That's the key. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore feedback. It means you don't depend on it. You listen, you evaluate, you decide. You don't poll your life. You don't crowdsource your backbone. You act. You have a choice. From this moment on, you stop asking for permission where none is required. You stop explaining decisions that don't need justification. You stop shrinking your intent to keep others comfortable. Here's a rule to adopt. If you believe in your direction, move. If you don't, stop and correct. But don't ask for agreement to validate your courage. Courage doesn't come from approval. It comes from alignment. Action creates identity, and identity grounded in self-trust doesn't bend easily. Let me make this practical. The next time you feel the urge to ask, "Is this okay?" Pause. Ask a better question. Is this aligned with who I'm becoming? If the answer is yes, you act. No debate, no permission. Needing agreement is weakness. Strength is self-directed action. This chapter is not asking you to become arrogant. It's asking you to become anchored. Anchored people don't drift with opinions. They don't chase approval. They move with intention. And once you stop seeking approval, something powerful happens. You stop over-talking. You stop over-explaining. You stop defending yourself. Your presence changes. That's where real confidence begins to show. You've learned to act. You've learned to stop waiting. Now you're learning to stop asking. But action without restraint can still leak power. So next, we refine it. You've reclaimed your authority. Now it's time to protect it.
Chapter 4. Silence is the language of real confidence. Silence is misunderstood. People think silence means weakness. They think it means hesitation. They think it means you have nothing to say. Wrong. Silence is control, and control is confidence. That's the key. Most people talk too much. They explain too much. They justify too much. Not because they're passionate, but because they're insecure. Over-explaining is not clarity. It's self-defense. And here's the truth you need to accept. Confident people don't defend themselves. Say it again. Confident people don't defend themselves. They don't rush to clarify. They don't scramble to correct perceptions. They don't argue to be understood. They let outcomes speak. You have a choice. You can fill the silence with explanations, or you can let silence communicate certainty. Silence signals confidence before words even land. Let's expose the habit that drains your power. The moment someone questions you, you start explaining.
The moment there's tension, you start talking. The moment you feel misunderstood, you rush to justify. Why? Because silence feels risky, because you want approval, because you want to be seen as reasonable. That urge is fear. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of being wrong. And fear makes people talk. Confidence makes people pause. That's the difference. Confident people don't defend themselves. They know something others don't. They know that not every question deserves an answer. Not every challenge deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Silence is selective strength. That's the key. Let me be very clear. This chapter is not telling you to be passive. It's telling you to be precise. There is a difference between silence and avoidance, between restraint and fear. Silence used consciously is power. Silence used to hide is weakness. We're training the first. Over-explaining is usually an attempt to control how others feel about you. Read that again. You're not explaining to be clear. You're explaining to be accepted. That's approval-seeking in disguise. And the moment you start defending yourself, you signal doubt, even if your point is valid. That's the irony. The more you explain, the less you're believed. The more you talk, the weaker your position feels. Silence forces others to sit with their assumptions. Talking rescues them from it. Confident people don't rescue others from discomfort. They let it do its job. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need approval to stop talking. You don't need silence to exist. You need discipline. It's not about communication, it's about discipline. Discipline to stop filling space. Discipline to stop over-justifying. Discipline to trust that your actions will speak louder than words. That's the key. Look at anyone you respect, truly respect. They don't talk constantly. They don't explain endlessly. They don't chase understanding. They say what matters, then they stop. And that pause carries weight. Silence creates gravity. Now let's talk about results, because this is where silence becomes dangerous in a good way. Results don't argue, they don't explain, they don't negotiate, they exist. When you let results speak, you remove yourself from emotional debate. No defense needed, no justification required, just evidence. That's confidence. People who talk too much are trying to compensate for lack of results. People who act consistently don't need an explanation. Action creates identity. Results confirm it. Confident people don't defend themselves. Let's make this practical. Here are moments when silence is your weapon. When someone doubts you, when someone misunderstands your intent, when someone challenges your direction. Your instinct will be to explain. Resist it. Ask yourself one question. Will my explanation change the outcome? If the answer is no, stay silent. Let time and action do the work. That's discipline. Now, this doesn't mean you never speak. It means you speak intentionally. When you speak from certainty, not insecurity. When you speak to clarify action, not protect ego. When you speak because it adds value, not because silence feels uncomfortable. That's the standard. You have a choice. You can be reactive or you can be grounded. Reactive people talk to relieve anxiety. Grounded people wait. Waiting is not weakness. Waiting is confidence. That's the key. Another truth you must accept. Not everyone needs to understand you. Not everyone will agree. Not everyone will like your silence. That's fine. Your job is not to be understood. Your job is to be effective. Silence protects effectiveness. Because the more you explain, the more you invite opinion. The more opinion, the more doubt. The more doubt, the more hesitation. Silence shuts that loop down. You don't need their permission to be quiet. You don't need approval to pause. Silence is not absence. It's presence without noise. Let's address the fear underneath all this. People are afraid that silence will be misinterpreted. It will be. sometimes. And that's okay. Misinterpretation is part of leadership. So is confidence. Trying to control perception exhausts you. Letting actions define you frees you. That's the trade. Confident people don't defend themselves. They let time expose truth. Now here's your discipline practice for this chapter. For the next week, catch yourself every time you want to explain unnecessarily. Pause. Remove one sentence, then another. Say less, mean more. If someone questions you, answer simply or not at all. Let silence sit. You'll feel uncomfortable at first. That's good. Discomfort is the training ground of confidence. Remember this. People who matter don't need explanations. People who don't matter won't be convinced anyway. That's the key. Silence filters noise. Action builds authority. You've learned how to act. You've learned how to stop waiting. You've learned how to stop asking for approval. Now you're learning how to protect your power. Because confidence isn't loud, it's controlled. And once you stop defending yourself, something else becomes clear. You don't need courage to act. You need consistency. That's what we sharpen next. You've learned to be silent. Now it's time to move anyway.
Chapter 5. Do the thing before you feel brave. Courage is not something you find. It is something you earn. That's the first correction you need to make. Most people believe bravery comes first. They think courage arrives like a feeling. They think one day they'll wake up fearless. That day never comes, because courage is not a prerequisite, it's a reward. Say it with me. You don't wait for courage, you earn it. That's the key. Every story you admire about bravery follows the same pattern. Action came first, fear was present, courage showed up later, never the other way around. You have a choice. You can wait to feel brave, or you can act while fear is still loud. One builds strength, the other builds regret. Let's destroy the myth completely. If courage were required before action, no one would ever move. No one would take risks. No one would change. What people call brave is just someone who acted before their fear talked them out of it. That's it. Courage is retrospective. You recognize it after you move. That's the key. Fear shows up first. Action interrupts it. Courage follows as confirmation. Action creates identity. And identity reinforced under pressure becomes confidence. This is where people get stuck. They confuse fearlessness with courage. Fearlessness is rare. Courage is common, but only among those who act. Fear doesn't disqualify you. It invites you. Fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal. The signal says, this matters. Avoiding fear teaches your brain to retreat. Facing fear teaches your brain to advance. That's conditioning. And conditioning beats motivation every time. It's not about fear. It's about discipline. Discipline to move with fear present. Discipline to act without emotional reassurance. Discipline to do the thing anyway. That's how courage is earned. Let's talk about pressure. Pressure exposes patterns. Under pressure, most people freeze. They hesitate. They wait for clarity. Confident people act. Not because they feel brave, but because they trained themselves to move first. They don't ask, am I ready? They ask, what's the next action? That question cuts through fear. You don't need their permission. Not from fear, not from doubt, not from your past failures. You move. Let me tell you a hard truth. If you wait until fear disappears, you will never act. If you act while fear is present, fear loses authority. That's the trade. Courage is built in moments of decision. Small ones, daily ones, not dramatic leaps. Choosing to speak when your voice shakes. Choosing to show up when confidence is low. Choosing to commit when outcomes are uncertain. Those moments compound. And over time, you stop calling it courage. You call it who you are. Action creates identity. Here's where most people sabotage themselves. They want to eliminate fear before acting. That's backwards. Fear doesn't go away with thinking. It goes away with familiarity. Familiarity comes from repetition. Repetition requires action. So again, you don't wait for courage, you earn it. That's the key. Let's ground this in reality. Think about the first time you did something difficult. You were nervous, your heart was racing, your mind was loud.
You did it anyway. And afterward, relief, strength, pride. That wasn't courage beforehand. That was courage earned. Your brain learned something important. I can handle this. That belief is dangerous in the best way. Because once your brain accepts that, fear loses its grip. Not instantly, gradually, with repetition. Now here's a distinction you must understand. Bravery is not recklessness. Bravery is disciplined action under uncertainty. Recklessness ignores risk. Courage acknowledges risk and moves anyway. That's the difference. You don't rush blindly. You move deliberately. You accept that fear is part of the process, not a reason to stop it. That's the key. Let's talk about identity again. Every time you avoid an action because of fear, you reinforce an identity. I am someone who retreats. Every time you act despite fear, you reinforce a different identity. I am someone who moves. Those identities are built daily. Small actions matter. The call you avoid, the decision you delay, the opportunity you hesitate on. Those are training moments. You're either training courage or training avoidance. You have a choice. Now let's give you a rule to live by. If fear is the only reason you're not acting, that's the exact reason you must act. Not recklessly, not emotionally, deliberately. Fear alone is not a valid reason to stop. It's an invitation to step up. That's the key. Confident people are not immune to fear. They're immune to paralysis. They trained themselves to move under pressure. And here's what happens when you do this consistently. Fear stops being dramatic. It becomes background noise. It's there, but it doesn't control you. Courage stops feeling heroic. It feels normal. That's dangerous confidence. Not loud, not aggressive. Calm, decisive, unshakable. You don't need their permission to be brave. You don't need validation to move. You need discipline. It's not about confidence. It's about discipline. Discipline to take the step. Discipline to repeat it. Discipline to let courage catch up later. Now here's your instruction for this chapter. Today, identify one action you're avoiding because you don't feel brave. Do it anyway. Not perfectly, not confidently, just deliberately. And after you do it, notice what happens. Not externally, internally. Notice the shift. That's courage being earned. Action creates identity. And once you learn that courage follows action, not the other way around, you stop waiting, you stop hesitating, you move. You've learned to act, you've learned to stop waiting, you've learned to stop seeking approval, you've learned to be silent. Now you've learned to move before bravery arrives. But courage without structure fades. What sustains confidence long term is not emotion, it's discipline. That's what we lock in next. You earned courage, now you need consistency.
Chapter 6. Discipline builds what motivation never will. Motivation is unreliable. That's not an insult, it's a fact. Motivation comes and goes. It rises with emotion. It disappears under pressure. Discipline does not. Discipline stays when motivation leaves. That's the key. Most people try to build confidence on motivation. They wait to feel inspired. They wait to feel driven. They wait to feel energized. And when those feelings disappear, so does their progress. That's why confidence collapses, because it was built on emotion instead of structure. You have a choice. You can chase motivation, or you can build discipline. One makes you feel good temporarily, the other makes you strong permanently. Let's be direct. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is a system. Sparks fade, systems endure. Dangerous confidence is not emotional, it's structural. That's the key. Here's the sentence you need to internalize. Discipline removes self-doubt. Say it again. Discipline removes self-doubt. Self-doubt exists when you don't trust yourself. You don't trust yourself when you're inconsistent. You're inconsistent when you rely on motivation. Discipline fixes that. Every disciplined action is a promise kept. Every promise kept builds trust. Every bit of trust kills doubt. That's the loop. It's not about confidence, it's about discipline. Discipline is what shows up when emotions don't. Discipline is what moves you when excuses are loud.
Discipline is what keeps you steady when fear tries to steer. That's how certainty is built. Let's expose another myth. People think disciplined individuals are naturally motivated. Wrong. They're disciplined because they don't rely on motivation. They understand something most people don't. If you wait to feel like it, you'll do nothing meaningful. So they remove the decision. They act on schedule. They act on structure. They act regardless of mood. That consistency creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. That's the key. Look at your own life. When do you doubt yourself the most? When you're inconsistent. When you start and stop. When you break promises to yourself. That's not a confidence problem. That's a discipline problem. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," and don't, you weaken your self-trust. Every time you say, "I'll start," and quit, you reinforce doubt. Discipline reverses that pattern, one action at a time. Discipline removes self-doubt. Let me be blunt. You will never feel confident consistently, but you can act consistently. And consistency matters more than confidence. You don't need their permission to be disciplined. Not from friends, not from family, not from your emotions. You need structure. That's the key. Structure creates certainty. Certainty creates calm. Calm is confidence. This is why disciplined people appear confident even when things are hard. They don't rely on feelings. They rely on habits. Habits don't negotiate. Habits don't argue. Habits don't care how you feel. They execute. That's power. Now let's talk about internal certainty. Internal certainty is knowing you'll act no matter what. Not hoping, not wishing, knowing. That certainty does not come from talent. It does not come from intelligence. It comes from repetition. Repetition under discipline. When you show up every day, even imperfectly, your brain learns something critical. I can rely on myself. That belief is confidence. Discipline removes self-doubt. Now here's where most people sabotage themselves. They try to be disciplined only when it's convenient. That's not discipline. That's preference. Discipline means you act even when it's inconvenient, especially then. Because discipline isn't tested when things are easy. It's tested when motivation is gone. That's the key. You don't build confidence on good days. You build it on days you don't feel like showing up, but do anyway. Those days matter more than all the others combined because they rewire your identity. Action creates identity. Disciplined action creates a stable identity. A stable identity creates dangerous confidence. Let's make this practical. From this moment forward, stop asking, "Do I feel motivated?" That question is irrelevant. Instead, ask, "What's the system? What is the non-negotiable action? What happens regardless of mood? What gets done even when energy is low?" That's where confidence is built. Small, repeatable, daily, not dramatic. Discipline is boring, and that's why it works. Motivation seeks excitement. Discipline seeks results. Results don't need hype. You have a choice. You can live emotionally, or you can live intentionally. Emotion-driven people rise and crash. Disciplined people progress steadily, and steady progress builds unshakable confidence. That's the key. Here's another truth you need to hear. Discipline doesn't restrict freedom, it creates it. When you're disciplined, you don't panic, you don't scramble, you don't rely on last-minute effort. You trust the process. That trust eliminates anxiety. Anxiety is a form of self-doubt. Discipline removes self-doubt. Now let's talk about excuses. Excuses thrive where discipline is weak. I'm tired. I'm busy. I'll do it later. Those excuses disappear when structure is strong. Why? Because there's nothing to debate. The action is scheduled. The standard is set. You act. No emotional discussion. That's confidence. Not loud, not aggressive. Quiet, consistent, relentless. You don't need their permission to build discipline. You don't need motivation to keep going. You need commitment.
commitment to show up, commitment to repeat, commitment to keep promises to yourself. That's the key. Now here's your instruction for this chapter. Pick one small action that supports the person you're becoming. 1. Make it daily, make it non-negotiable, make it boring. Then do it, especially on days you don't feel like doing it. Because every time you do, you're telling yourself the truth. I am someone who follows through. That belief destroys self-doubt. Discipline removes self-doubt. And once doubt fades, confidence doesn't need motivation anymore. It becomes automatic. You've learned to act. You've learned to stop waiting. You've learned to stop seeking approval. You've learned to control your silence. You've learned to act before courage arrives. Now you've learned what sustains it all. Discipline. But discipline only becomes powerful repeated long enough to erase fear. That's what we sharpen next. You build structure. Now we turn repetition into immunity.
Chapter 7. Repetition turns fear into familiarity. Fear survives in the unfamiliar. That's the rule. Fear feeds on what you avoid. It grows where you hesitate. It strengthens when you retreat. But fear weakens with exposure. That's the key. Most people try to think their way out of fear. They analyze it. They rationalize it. They wait for it to disappear. It never does. Fear doesn't respond to logic. Fear responds to repetition. Say this slowly because it matters. What you repeat stops intimidating you. That's the key. You have a choice. You can avoid what scares you, or you can repeat it until it becomes ordinary. One choice keeps fear alive. The other kills it. Let's be clear. Fear is not a warning sign. Fear is a novelty response. Your brain reacts to what it doesn't recognize. Unfamiliar situations trigger uncertainty. Uncertainty triggers fear. Avoidance tells your brain, this is dangerous. Repetition tells your brain, this is normal. That's how fear is trained out of you. Not with courage, not with motivation, with repetition. It's not about fear, it's about discipline. Discipline to face the same discomfort again. Discipline to show up repeatedly. Discipline to stay instead of escape. That's how confidence is stacked. Most people make the same mistake. They think if something scares them, they should wait until they feel stronger. Wrong. Strength comes after repetition. You don't repeat because you're confident. You become confident because you repeat. Action creates identity. Repetition cements it. That's the key. Look at anything you're comfortable with now. Speaking, driving, working under pressure. Was it comfortable at first? No. It was awkward, stressful, uncertain. Then you did it again, and again, and again. Eventually, fear faded, not because you were brave, but because it became familiar. What you repeat stops intimidating you. Fear is loud the first time, quiet the 10th time, absent the 100th time. That's not theory, that's biology. Your nervous system adapts to what you expose it to consistently. Avoidance keeps it fragile. Repetition makes it resilient. You have a choice. You can let fear dictate your behavior, or you can use repetition to retrain your system. Let's talk about habit-based confidence stacking. Confidence is not built in one moment. It's built in layers. Each repeated action adds a layer. Each exposure reduces emotional charge. Each completion reinforces identity. I've done this before. I can handle this. I'm not threatened by this anymore. Those beliefs don't come from thinking. They come from repetition. Discipline removes self-doubt. Why? Because repetition proves capability. One successful exposure isn't enough. Your brain needs patterns. That's why people relapse into fear after one win. They didn't repeat. They tasted confidence once, then went back to avoidance. Fear returned. Repetition is what locks confidence in. That's the key. Now let's address avoidance. Avoidance feels like relief, but it comes with interest. Short-term relief, long-term anxiety. Every avoided action grows larger in your mind. Every delayed step becomes heavier. Fear compounds in isolation. Exposure breaks that cycle. Even imperfect exposure works. You don't need perfect execution. You need consistent exposure. You don't need their permission to repeat. Not from fear, not from doubt, not from your past failures. You just show up. Let me say this clearly. If fear wants to shrink, you must stop treating it like something special. Stop respecting it. Stop negotiating with it. Stop rearranging your life around it. Treat fear like a task. Show up, execute, repeat. That's discipline. It's not about bravery, it's about discipline. Fear fades when it's bored of you, and repetition bores fear. That's the key. Let's make this practical. Right now, identify one thing that intimidates you, one action you avoid, one situation you overthink. Now, don't plan a dramatic confrontation. Plan repetition. Small, controlled, consistent. Do it once, then again, then again. Schedule it. Fear loses power when it becomes routine. That's how habit-based confidence stacking works. Each repetition adds certainty. Certainty reduces hesitation. Hesitation removal creates confidence. This is why disciplined people appear fearless. They aren't fearless. They're familiar. They've repeated the discomfort until it stopped registering as a threat. That's the difference. You have a choice. You can keep fear rare and powerful, or make it common and weak. Rare things intimidate. Common things don't. What you repeat stops intimidating you. Now, here's a hard truth. If fear is still intense, it's because exposure has been inconsistent. You dip in, then retreat. That resets fear. Consistency is non-negotiable. You don't face fear once, you face it until it loses its edge. That's discipline. And discipline builds dangerous confidence. Not loud confidence, not performative confidence. Calm confidence. The kind that doesn't react, the kind that doesn't flinch, the kind that moves automatically. You don't need their permission to repeat. You don't need motivation to expose yourself again. You need commitment. Commitment to repetition. That's the key. Let me give you a rule to live by. If something scares you but aligns with who you're becoming, you repeat it until it doesn't scare you anymore. No drama, no heroics, just repetition. That's how fear turns into familiarity, and familiarity turns into confidence. Action creates identity. Repetition locks it in. Now here's your instruction for this chapter. Choose one fear-based action. Schedule it repeatedly for the next week. Not once, not when you feel like it, repeatedly. Watch what happens. Fear won't disappear instantly, but it will weaken. And when fear weakens, confidence fills the space. Not because you tried to feel confident, but because you trained it. You've learned to act. You've learned to stop waiting. You've learned to stop seeking approval. You've learned the power of silence. You've learned to act before bravery arrives. You've learned discipline. Now you've learned repetition. But repetition reveals something deeper. As fear fades, another weakness becomes visible. The need to explain yourself. That's what we strip away next. You've made fear familiar. Now it's time to make your presence unmistakable. Chapter 8. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter. Explanation is seductive. It feels responsible. It feels mature. It feels like clarity. But most of the time, explanation is not clarity. It's insecurity wearing a reasonable face. That's the key. When you constantly explain yourself, you're not communicating. You're asking to be understood. You're asking to be accepted. You're asking for agreement. And every time you do that, you leak power. Here is the truth you must burn into your mind. Your path doesn't require consensus. Say it again. Your path doesn't require consensus. You have a choice. You can live according to your direction, or you can live according to other people's comfort. You cannot do both. Most people explain themselves because they are afraid of judgment. They want to soften reactions. They want to preempt criticism. They want to be liked. So they talk, they justify, they over-contextualize, and the more they explain, the smaller they feel. That's not coincidence, that's cause and effect. Let's be very clear. Explanation is not strength when it's unnecessary. It's a signal that says, I doubt myself, I need you to agree, I need reassurance. Confident people don't do that. Not because they're rude, not because they're arrogant, because they're anchored. That's the key. Most people don't realize this, but explanation invites judgment. The more you explain, the more opinions you invite. The more opinions you invite, the more doubt enters. The more doubt enters, the more you hesitate. Silence and brevity shut that door. You don't need their permission, not to choose differently, not to move on, not to say no. You don't need to justify your standards. Let's dismantle a dangerous belief. People think explaining themselves makes them respected. Wrong. Clarity earns respect. Conviction earns respect. Over-explaining erodes it. People trust those who trust themselves. Certainty communicates faster than words ever could. That's the key. Now let's talk about who people who don't matter really are. They are not enemies. They are not villains. They are simply irrelevant to your direction. People who don't share your goals. People who don't carry your risk. People who won't live with your consequences. Those people don't get a vote. Not because they're bad, but because they're not responsible for your life. Yet most people explain themselves to them anyway. Why? Because external judgment feels louder than internal truth, until you train yourself otherwise. You have a choice. You can explain yourself to everyone around you, or you can respect your own direction enough to move without consensus. That's the shift. Your path doesn't require consensus. Let me make this practical. When you decide to change something in your life, your routine, your standards, your direction, someone will question it. They'll ask why. They'll doubt you. They'll suggest alternatives. Your instinct will be to explain. Pause. Ask one question. Does this person live the life I want? If the answer is no, you don't owe them an explanation. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. It's not about confidence. It's about discipline. Discipline to stop defending decisions that are already made. Discipline to stop arguing with opinions that don't matter. Discipline to let misunderstanding exist without fixing it. That's the key. Here's another truth. People who matter don't require long explanations. They recognize conviction. People who don't matter won't be convinced anyway, so why exhaust yourself? Explanation is emotional labor, and most people spend it on the wrong audience. They burn energy explaining instead of executing. Execution builds confidence. Explanation drains it. Action creates identity. Identity does not need defense. Now let's address the fear underneath explanation. The fear is not being wrong. The fear is being judged. People are terrified of being seen as unreasonable, selfish, or mistaken, so they explain to soften perception. But perception is uncontrollable. Trying to manage it is a losing game. The more you try to control how others see you, the less control you have over your own life. That's the trade. Confident people accept misunderstanding as part of independence. They don't chase clarity with everyone. They move. That's the key. Now let's talk about boundaries. Boundaries without explanation are powerful. Boundaries with excessive explanation are negotiable. The more you explain a boundary, the more people test it. Short, clear, done. I'm not doing that. This doesn't align with me. I've decided. No defense, no essay. Confident people don't defend themselves. They don't argue their standards. They live them. You don't need their permission to hold your line. You don't need validation to maintain direction. You need resolute. You have a choice. You can keep narrating your life to everyone around you, or you can quietly build it. Narration feels safe. Building feels risky.
but building is what creates dangerous confidence. Let's give you a rule. If your explanation is longer than the decision itself, you're seeking approval. Stop. Say less. Mean more. Let your actions explain for you. That's discipline, and discipline builds internal certainty. When you stop explaining yourself, something powerful happens. Your nervous system calms. Your decisions feel firmer. Your presence feels heavier. Because you're no longer outsourcing your certainty, you're owning it. That's the key. Here's your instruction for this chapter. For the next week, stop explaining decisions that are already made. State them, then stop talking. Notice the discomfort. Let it pass. That discomfort is you breaking the addiction to external judgment. And every time you resist explaining, you strengthen self-trust. Self-trust is confidence. Action creates identity. And once you stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter, you gain something rare. Clarity. Clarity about who you are. Clarity about where you're going. Clarity about whose opinion counts. You've learned to act. You've learned to stop waiting. You've learned to stop seeking approval. You've learned the power of silence. You've learned discipline. You've learned repetition. Now you're learning detachment. But detachment doesn't mean distance from the world. It means stability within it. And that stability changes how you show up emotionally. That's what we master next. You've stopped explaining. Now it's time to stop reacting.
Chapter 9. Confidence is calm, not loud. Loudness is not confidence. It's compensation. That's the first truth you need to accept. People who are truly confident don't raise their voice. They don't dominate conversations. They don't rush to be seen. They stay calm, because calm signals control. Say it again. Calm signals control. That's the key. Most people mistake volume for power. They think intensity equals authority. They think being loud means being certain. It doesn't. Loudness is often insecurity trying to be convincing. Calm is certainty that doesn't need proof. You have a choice. You can react loudly, or you can respond calmly. One leaks power, the other commands it. Let's break this down. When someone feels threatened, they get loud. They interrupt, they defend, they overemphasize. Why? Because they're trying to regain control. But the need to regain control proves it was lost. Calm people never lost it. That's the difference. Calm signals control. Reactive people are controlled by emotion. Grounded people control emotion. And confidence lives with the grounded. That's the key. Look at any leader you respect. Not influencers, not performers, leaders. They don't rush, they don't panic, they don't escalate. They slow things down. Because calmness stabilizes environments. Loudness destabilizes them. Confidence is stabilizing. That's how you spot it. Let's talk about reactivity. Reactivity is emotional reflex. Something happens, you respond immediately. Tone changes, body tightens, words spill. That's not confidence, that's loss of regulation. Confidence requires emotional discipline. It's not about passion, it's about discipline. Discipline to pause, discipline to breathe, discipline to choose response over reaction. That's the key. Most people are loud because they are uncomfortable with silence. Silence feels like loss of control to the insecure. To the confident, silence is leverage. They let others reveal themselves. They let emotions settle. They let clarity emerge. Calm signals control. Now let's contrast two people. Person 1 reacts fast. They interrupt. They raise their voice when challenged. They explain aggressively. Person 2 listens, pauses, speaks slowly, if at all. Who feels more powerful? Always the second, because control is felt, not announced. You don't need their permission to stay calm, not when someone challenges you, not when tension rises, not when emotions spike. You need discipline. Calm is not weakness. Calm is dominance without force. That's the key. Here's another truth most people miss. The louder someone is, the more they're trying to convince themselves. People who know don't shout. People who doubt do. That's why calm confidence unsettles others. It doesn't give them emotional feedback to push against. It doesn't escalate. It absorbs. That's strength. Now, let's get practical. When someone challenges you emotionally, your instinct is to match energy. Don't. Lower it. Speak slower. Say less. Pause longer. That shift changes the entire dynamic, because calm reframes the situation. It says, I'm not threatened. I'm in control. I don't need to react. Calm signals control. That's the key. Now let's talk about anger. Anger feels powerful. It feels assertive. It feels strong. But anger is unstable. It burns energy. It clouds judgment. It creates regret. Confidence doesn't need anger. Confidence stays measured. It's not about suppressing emotion. It's about managing it. That's discipline. It's not about being quiet. It's about being composed. Big difference. You have a choice. You can let emotions drive behavior, or you can let discipline drive response. Emotion-driven people are predictable. Disciplined people are formidable. That's the key. Now, think about your own life. When have you felt least confident? When you were calm or when you were reactive? Reactivity always comes with regret. Calmness comes with clarity. Clarity builds confidence. Confidence builds presence. Presence commands respect. Action creates identity, and a calm identity is unshakable. Let's address another misconception. People think calm means passive. Wrong. Calm is controlled aggression. It's power held in reserve. Calm people can act decisively. They just don't leak emotion beforehand. That restraint makes their actions more impactful. Loud people exhaust attention before action. Calm people focus it. That's the key. Now here's a rule to live by. If your voice rises, your authority drops. If your words multiply, your power divides. Say less, mean more. Let calm do the heavy lifting. You don't need their permission to slow down. You don't need approval to stay composed. You need awareness. Awareness that every reaction is a choice, and you have a choice. Calm signals control. Now let's give you a discipline practice. For the next week, monitor your reactions. When tension appears, pause, count to 3, lower your voice. If you don't need to speak, don't. Let silence work. Notice what happens. People slow down. Conversations change tone. You feel steadier. That steadiness is confidence. Not loud, not dramatic, stable. Dangerously stable. Because when you're calm under pressure, nothing controls you. You've learned to act. You've learned to stop waiting. You've learned to stop seeking approval. You've learned the power of silence. You've learned discipline. You've learned repetition. You've learned detachment. Now you're mastering emotional control. But confidence is not just mental, it's physical. Your body speaks before you do. And if you want calm confidence to be undeniable, you must align your body with it. You've controlled your reactions. Now you'll control your presence.
Chapter 10. Your body speaks before your mind does. That's the truth most people ignore. Before you think, before you speak, before you decide, your body has already sent a message, and your brain listens. That's the key. Most people try to build confidence mentally. They repeat affirmations, they visualize outcomes, they talk themselves into courage. But they ignore the fastest route to confidence, their body. Here is the rule you must understand. Your body teaches your brain who you are. Say it again. Your body teaches your brain who you are. That's the key. If your body moves like someone unsure, your brain follows. If your posture collapses, your mind collapses. If your movements hesitate, your thoughts hesitate. Confidence is not just a mindset, it's a physical signal, and signals can be trained. You have a choice. You can let your body reinforce weakness, or you can use it to train strength. Let's start with posture. Posture is not cosmetic, it's neurological. When you slouch, your chest compresses, breathing shortens, energy drops. Your brain reads that as submission. When you stand upright, shoulders back, chest open, breathing deepens, energy rises. Your brain reads that as readiness. No motivation required. That's the key. Confident posture doesn't mean puffed chest or fake bravado. It means alignment. Head up, spine tall, weight balanced. That posture tells your nervous system, I'm stable. Stability breeds calm. Calm breeds confidence. Now eye contact. Weak eye contact signals avoidance. Avoidance signals fear. Strong eye contact signals presence. Not staring, not aggressive, steady. When you hold eye contact while listening, you tell your brain, I'm not threatened. When you break eye contact constantly, your brain learns the opposite. Your body teaches your brain who you are. That's the key. Most people avoid eye contact because they feel uncomfortable. Good. That discomfort is the training ground. You don't need their permission to hold eye contact. You don't need approval to be present. You need discipline. It's not about confidence, it's about discipline. Discipline to keep your gaze steady. Discipline to stay grounded. Discipline to resist the urge to retreat physically. Now movement. Confident people move deliberately, not rushed, not frantic. Their movements are efficient. They don't fidget, they don't rush gestures, they don't bounce with nervous energy. Why? Because frantic movement signals internal chaos. Slow, controlled movement signals authority. Calm signals control. Your body teaches your brain who you are. If your body moves like someone in control, your brain catches up. That's the key. Let's talk about walking. Most people walk like they're late even when they're not. Fast steps, tense shoulders, shallow breathing. That trains anxiety. Slow your pace slightly, not dramatically, just enough to feel control. You'll notice something immediately. Your breathing slows, your mind quiets, your presence increases. That's confidence being trained physically. Now let's talk about stillness. Stillness is one of the most powerful physical signals of confidence. In conversations, in meetings, under pressure. People who can stay still when others are animated dominate the room. Not because they speak more, but because they don't leak energy. Stillness communicates certainty. Your body teaches your brain who you are. Now posture, eye contact, movement, stillness. These are not tricks, they are training tools. You don't act confident, you practice confidence, and your brain adapts. Here's where most people sabotage this. They only use confident body language when they already feel good. That defeats the purpose. You use your body especially when you feel uncertain. That's when it matters. That's when it trains. It's not about fear, it's about discipline. Discipline to hold posture when doubt hits. Discipline to keep eye contact when anxiety rises. Discipline to move slowly when pressure builds. That discipline creates internal certainty. Certainty becomes confidence. That's the key. Let's address breathing. Breathing is the fastest way to change state. Shallow breathing is anxious state. Deep breathing is regulated state. When pressure rises, slow your breath. Inhale through your nose, long exhale through your mouth. Your nervous system responds instantly. Your body teaches your brain who you are. This is not meditation, this is control. Control creates confidence. Now let's make this practical. From today forward, your body becomes your training ground. When standing, stand tall. When sitting, sit grounded. When walking, move deliberately. When listening, hold eye contact. When stressed, slow your breath. No exceptions, especially when you don't feel confident, because that's when training counts. You have a choice. You can let your emotions dictate your posture, or let your posture regulate your emotions. One reinforces weakness, the other builds strength. That's the key.
Let me say this clearly. You don't rise to the level of your thoughts, you fall to the level of your habits, physical habits included. Action creates identity. Physical action accelerates it. Once your body begins signaling certainty, your mind stops arguing. Doubt quiets down. Not because you convinced it, but because you trained past it. You don't need their permission to take up space. You don't need approval to stand grounded. You need ownership. Ownership of your body. Ownership of your presence. And once your body and mind align, confidence becomes automatic. Not loud, not forced. Calm, grounded, unshakable. You've learned to act. You've learned to stop waiting. You've learned to stop seeking approval. You've learned silence. You've learned discipline. You've learned repetition. You've learned detachment. You've learned emotional control. Now your body is aligned with your mind. But one threat remains. Fear still tries to negotiate. It whispers, it hesitates, it asks for delay. That's what we eliminate next. You've trained your body. Now you train your response to fear itself.
Chapter 11. Stop negotiating with fear. Fear is not your enemy, but it is a terrible leader. That's the distinction you must understand. Fear exists to alert you, not to command you, not to decide for you. Here is the rule you live by from now on. Fear gets a vote, not a veto. Say it again. Fear gets a vote, not a veto. That's the key. Most people let fear do more than vote. They let it run meetings. They let it delay decisions. They let it cancel action. And every time they negotiate with fear, they weaken themselves. You have a choice. You can acknowledge fear, or you can obey it. One builds awareness. The other builds paralysis. Let's be clear. Fear is not the problem. Hesitation is. Fear shows up once. Hesitation repeats. And repetition compounds weakness. That's the danger. Most people don't realize how negotiations with fear actually work. Fear whispers, "Wait. Think more. Be careful. It sounds reasonable. It sounds protective." So you listen. You delay the call. You postpone the decision. You push action to later. And later becomes never. That's how fear wins. Not through force, through delay. Fear gets a vote, not a veto. The moment you start negotiating, fear learns something dangerous. That tactic works. So it comes back stronger next time. And next time, hesitation arrives faster. That's how confidence erodes. Not all at once, but gradually. That's the key. Confident people do not eliminate fear. They eliminate negotiation. They acknowledge fear. Then they act anyway. No debate, no delay. Action ends the conversation. It's not about fear. It's about discipline. Discipline to move even when fear is present. Discipline to stop entertaining doubt. Discipline to cut hesitation off early. That discipline builds authority internally. Now let's talk about hesitation. Hesitation feels harmless. It feels thoughtful. It feels cautious. But hesitation compounds weakness. Every time you hesitate, you reinforce uncertainty. Every time you reinforce uncertainty, fear grows louder. Hesitation trains fear. Decisive action trains confidence. Action creates identity. And identity doesn't negotiate. Here's a truth you need to accept. You will never outthink fear. You will never reason it away. You will never convince it to leave. Fear leaves when action begins. That's the only exit. Fear gets a vote, not a veto. Let's get practical. The moment fear appears, you do not ask, "What if this goes wrong?" That question opens negotiation. Instead, you ask, "What is the next action?" That question ends the discussion. Action collapses fear's leverage. Now understand this. Fear is loudest before action, quiet during action, silent after action. Hesitation keeps you stuck in the loud phase. Action moves you past it. That's the key. Most people think confident individuals don't feel fear. Wrong. They feel it and move anyway. They don't give fear time to build stories. They don't let it construct worst-case scenarios. They act. You don't need their permission. Not from fear, not from doubt, not from your past. You move. Let me say this bluntly. If you hesitate, fear gains momentum. If you act, fear loses leverage. There is no neutral ground. You're either training courage or training avoidance. You have a choice. Now let's talk about decision speed. Confidence correlates with decisiveness, not recklessness. Decisiveness. The ability to choose and move. Hesitant people feel overwhelmed. Decisive people feel clear. Clarity doesn't come from certainty. It comes from commitment. Commitment ends negotiation. Fear gets a vote, not a veto. Let's address the real reason people negotiate with fear. They want guarantees. They want assurance that action will succeed. That guarantee doesn't exist. Waiting for certainty is waiting forever. Confidence is built by acting without certainty. That's the trade. It's not about outcome. It's about discipline. Discipline to act even when outcomes are unknown. Discipline to accept risk. Discipline to trust yourself to adapt. That trust kills fear over time. Now here's something most people miss. Fear is not always about danger. Often it's about identity threat. What if I fail? What if I look stupid? What if I'm judged? That's ego fear. And ego fear loves hesitation. Because hesitation preserves image. But confidence doesn't protect image. It builds capability. Capability matters more. You have a choice. You can protect your ego, or you can build strength. You can negotiate with fear, or you can act through it. Fear gets a vote, not a veto. Now let's install a rule. When fear appears, you acknowledge it. Briefly, I see you. Then you act. No internal argument, no emotional debate. Action ends the conversation. This is how you retrain your nervous system. Fear shows up, you move anyway. Repeat that enough times and fear changes tone. It becomes quieter, shorter, less convincing, because fear learns it no longer controls you. That's dangerous confidence. Not loud, not aggressive, unshakable. Now here's your instruction for this chapter. From this point forward, the moment you notice hesitation, act. Not perfectly, not confidently, deliberately. Speed matters. Small action is enough. Send the message. Make the call. Take the step. Do not sit with fear. Sitting with fear feeds it. Movement starves it. Action creates identity. And identity that doesn't negotiate becomes powerful. You've learned to act. You've learned discipline. You've learned repetition. You've learned control. You've learned how your body trains your mind. Now you've learned how to shut fear down. But there's one final layer of confidence that must be built. Not fear, not hesitation, self-trust. Confidence that lasts comes from one place only: keeping promises to yourself. That's where we finish. You stopped negotiating with fear. Now you build unbreakable trust.
Chapter 12. Confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself. Confidence is not loud. It's not visible. It's not something others give you. Confidence is private. It lives inside one relationship only: the relationship you have with yourself. That's the key. Most people think confidence comes from success, from praise, from results. Wrong. Confidence comes from self-trust. And self-trust is built one way: by keeping promises to yourself. Say this slowly. Broken promises create self-doubt. Say it again. Broken promises create self-doubt. That's the key. Every time you tell yourself you'll do something and don't, you weaken your own word. Every time you say tomorrow and delay, you chip away at your integrity. And integrity is confidence. Not moral integrity, internal integrity. The alignment between what you say and what you do. You have a choice. You can be someone who keeps their word to themselves, or someone who negotiates it away. One builds confidence, the other destroys it quietly. Let's be blunt. Most people don't struggle with confidence. They struggle with self-betrayal. They promise to wake up early. They don't. They promise to take action. They don't. They promise to change. They don't. And then they wonder why they doubt themselves. That doubt is earned. Broken promises create self-doubt. That's the key. Confidence is your nervous system trusting that you will follow through. When you don't, it stops trusting you. And when you don't trust yourself, you hesitate, you second-guess, you seek reassurance. Not because you're weak, but because your track record says you can't be relied on. That's not an insult, that's a diagnosis, and it can be fixed. It's not about motivation, it's about discipline. Discipline to do what you said you would do. Discipline to keep commitments small and sacred. Discipline to stop lying to yourself. That's the key. Here's what most people don't understand. Your brain keeps score. It remembers every promise you break, every shortcut you take, every excuse you accept, and it adjusts your self-belief accordingly. Confidence is not optimism, it's evidence. Evidence that you show up. Action creates identity. Follow-through solidifies it. Now, let's talk about why people break promises to themselves. They overpromise. They get emotional. They set standards they can't sustain. Then reality hits. Instead of adjusting the promise, they abandon it. And that abandonment hurts trust. The solution is not to promise more. It's to promise less and keep it. That's discipline. You don't need their permission to lower the scope. You don't need validation to start small. You need consistency. A small promise kept is more powerful than a big promise broken. Broken promises create self-doubt. Kept promises create confidence. That's the key. Let's make this practical. From now on, you stop making emotional promises. No more, "I'll change everything." No more, "I'll start tomorrow perfectly." You make precise promises. Specific, small, non-negotiable. And then you keep them, especially when you don't feel like it. Because feelings don't matter here. Integrity does. You have a choice. You can keep chasing confidence externally,
or you can build it internally. External confidence is fragile. Internal confidence is permanent. Internal confidence doesn't shake when things go wrong because it's not built on outcome. It's built on trust, self-trust. That's the key. Let's talk about identity. When you keep promises to yourself, your identity shifts. You stop asking, "Can I do this?" You start assuming, "Of course I will." That assumption is confidence, not arrogance, certainty. Certainty rooted in experience of following through. Now hear this clearly. Confidence does not come from winning every time. It comes from knowing you won't quit on yourself. Failure doesn't destroy confidence. Quitting does. Broken promises create self-doubt. That includes promises like, "I'll speak up next time. I won't tolerate this anymore. I'll take action today." When you don't follow through, you teach yourself a dangerous lesson. My words don't matter. And when your words don't matter to you, nothing you say carries weight. Not to others, not to yourself. That's why confident people speak simply. They don't overpromise. They don't exaggerate. They know they'll back it up. That's the key. Now let's address guilt. People feel guilty when they break promises. They feel ashamed, so they avoid thinking about it. That avoidance compounds the damage. Instead of avoiding it, confront it. Audit your promises. Where have you been lying to yourself? Where have you been delaying? Where have you been soft? This is not about judgment, it's about clarity. Clarity is power. Now rebuild. One promise, one action, one follow-through. That's how confidence is rebuilt. You don't need their permission to start again. You don't need approval to rebuild trust. You need honesty. Honesty with yourself. It's not about confidence, it's about discipline. Discipline to say less. Discipline to do more. Discipline to close the gap between intention and action. That gap is where self-doubt lives. Close the gap. Doubt disappears. That's the key. Here's a rule to adopt immediately. If you say you will do something, do it. If you're not sure you'll do it, don't say it. Silence is better than broken promises. Confident people don't talk about what they will do, they do it. And over time, something powerful happens. You stop needing motivation. You stop needing reassurance. You stop needing hype. Because you trust yourself. That trust becomes calm. That calm becomes confidence. Unshakable confidence. Now, here's your instruction for this chapter. Today, make one small promise to yourself. Small enough that there is no excuse. Clear enough that there is no confusion. Then keep it, no matter how you feel. And tomorrow, do it again. Because confidence is not built in one moment. It's built in streaks. Streaks of integrity. Streaks of follow-through. Streaks of self-respect. Action creates identity. Integrity locks it in. You've learned to act. You've learned discipline. You've learned repetition. You've learned to control fear. You've learned to control your body. You've learned calm. Now you've built the foundation, self-trust. And once you trust yourself, something else stops controlling you. Rejection. That's the final test of confidence. You've built internal strength. Now we see if it holds under external resistance.
Dangerous confidence is not arrogance. It's certainty built through action. You don't hesitate anymore. You don't explain yourself. You don't wait to feel ready. You move. You've learned one truth over and over again in this audiobook. Confidence is earned through discipline, repetition, and decision. Every time you act despite fear, you rewrite who you are. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you become stronger. Every time you stop seeking validation,
you reclaim control. Most people will never do this. That's why most people stay average. Your challenge is simple. Today, do the thing you've been avoiding. No preparation, no permission, no delay. Move first. Let confidence chase you. If this audiobook changed how you think, how you move, and how you see yourself, subscribe to this channel. Because this isn't motivation, this is a standard. And once you adopt it, there's no going back. If you're ready to stop consuming motivation and start living discipline, subscribe to this channel.